Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this. When it comes to the Big East, because when we came into this season, it was basically UConn, Marquette, and Creighton, and then kind of everybody else. And it was like, well, we'll see. We think there's a chance with St. John's. We think there's a chance with Providence. We think Villanova's got the pieces if they can kind of figure that stuff out. Xavier's got Sean Miller, Butler's got Thad Matta, and now we're sitting here and it's like, okay, is Seton Hall for real? And then is there anybody else that can actually make noise here? What do you make of the top of the Big East, and what do you make of where this conference is at this point in time?
I mean, I think it is UConn, and then not everybody else, but a bunch of other teams that honestly aren't separating themselves. I still have faith that Marquette can turn into that number 2 team. That team that at least can make a run to like Sweet 16, Elite 8, but their margin for error isn't nearly what we may have thought it was going into the season. I'm not saying they're a 3-man team, but they're kind of a 3-man team at times. And they need Oso to be what he was last game because it takes some of the pressure off of Kolek and Cam Jones to have to do everything. Seton Hall, listen, they've shocked me. I think they've shocked everybody other than maybe Shaheen. I don't know if I trust them to sustain this and be a team that can do some damage in the NCAA tournament. Sometimes, again, you peak at the wrong time. And I'm afraid that that's going to be Seton Hall at the end of the day, that they're kind of peaking at the wrong time here and they come down to earth a little bit. Creighton, I don't know, guys. I know this is Doug's boy, Ashworth, and I love him as a kid. I just think he's better suited for the Mountain West than he is for the Big East, period. And especially with that team. With that team, I just don't think he fits.
I agree with you. Okay. I mean, I counseled him a little bit on where he was looking at. And, his thing was like, hey, I want to play point guard. I want to show I can guard point guards. I want to shoot, right? And like, okay, I would have liked a team. And I think he could have, I think he can. And he's a good player. I mean, he had 15 tonight. He can really, really shoot. But Northwestern, by the way, just held on to beat Maryland. Jameer Young had a heck of a game, but did not score on that last bucket. So missed a shot and they ended up losing. But I would generally, if they had one more athletic ball handling guard, So I think some of it is level, Jeff. That's fair. Okay. Because look, there's just different levels. And I understand what you're sitting at home. You're like, wait a second, the Mountain West might get 5 or 6 teams in. It's a really good league. It is. Yeah. But he was playing the 2 really when he was in the Mountain West too. He wasn't necessarily playing the point. But yeah, most of those Mountain West teams have 2 small guards. So there's just a different level of overall athleticism. Actually, the game's not over 3.6 seconds. So
what Creighton needs? If Trey Alexander was like 10% more athletic, where you could be able to rely on him to be able to get a paint touch against anybody that was defending him, right? Like that's my biggest thing is that they need to kind of scheme everything to be able to get shots. If you look at UConn and look at Creighton, like the rosters really aren't all that different in terms of the way they're built. They got the big rim protecting center. They got a bunch of guys in the perimeter that are good positional defenders. They funnel everything into the big fella on defense. They run a lot of like elaborate offensive sets to try to scheme threes and scheme ways to be able to get cling and roll into the rim. They're not all that different. To me, the difference is UConn's got a guy in Steph Castle where if you need a paint touch and you want to let someone go one-on-one, he can kind of go make that stuff happen. And
well, he's a high major level athlete. He's a high major level point guard. He's only a freshman. That's his fatal flaw, if you will. But I would also tell you, like, look, we can put it.
UConn's pieces.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mason. But part of it is
Doug,
Mason Miller.
You and I talked about.
I think Mason Miller in 2 years. Mason Miller in 2 years will be good enough.
Sure.
I don't think you're literally not getting anything there. Okay.
Hey,
you got nothing there tonight.
Before we go to break, listen, give UConn's assistant coaches and staff a ton of credit because what they've done is not just throw together a bunch of really good players. They've thrown together a bunch of really good players that fit well together and play off each other well.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.